What's up, everybody?
What is going on? Listen, we do recognize that this is the second Sunday, and we typically have our broadcast on the first Sunday of every month. But last Sunday, we came into a place where we started a fast with our church, and part of the fast was that 7 days you're supposed to be off of social media. And we didn't want to be those hypocrites and actually say, yeah, we're supposed to be off of social media for spiritual maintenance.
But we're going
to go live. Just do a full broadcast.
Didn't make sense. So here we are a week later, but it's all good. Really quick, it's January 13th. I just got to say, J13.
Shout out to all the Deltas.
I got on my throwback hoodie that was probably made in 1913 or at least '01 when I crossed. So I just wanted to shout out my sorors. I love y'all more than you know. So there are two quick things that we want to make sure that you have information about before we get into this topic that we are so excited about. So number one, our date night, first date night of 2019 is on the horizon. Yes. It's January 26th. That's in like a week, it feels like. But January 26th at Uptown Alley, for those of you who are in the Richmond area or nearby, you can drive up, come chill, hang out with us. You can go to our Instagram page or Facebook or just infallibledestiny.com to get more information and to register. So it's a brief form that you have to fill out, and then your payment solidifies your spot. There are limited spaces.
Yeah, and different experiences as well. So if you don't actually bowl, you just want to come out and kind of network, connect. We have different, if you will, price tiers set up for you. And so go out, check it out. As she just stated, limited space for that event, unfortunately. But hey, I think it's going to be a great time. But go ahead and register for that.
Yeah, exciting. So we also have, as many of you know, a culminating experience every year in March called the Infallible Destiny Relationship Summit. So our Relationship Summit is the 5th summit, y'all. 5th annual Relationship Summit. This March, the 22nd and 23rd at the Richmond Short Pump Marriott. Yeah. We're really excited about that. Again, you can get more information on our website, infallibledestiny.com. Early bird prices are already available through Eventbrite. And the early bird prices they expire February 22nd and then prices go up. But it's an experience. It's not a conference, but it's an experience that you do not want to miss. Yeah. And the other thing I will say is that it's not a couples retreat. Okay?
It comes back that way all the time. This is a conference. It's a couples retreat. It's available for singles, individuals that are dating, engaged, and married. So it's for everybody. Divorced, whatever, confused, trying to figure it out. It's for everybody.
Yes. So make sure you go online. InfallibleDestiny.com will give you all the information that you want and need to know. So
that's it.
This topic.
Let's get it.
Lord Jesus. Okay. So we were watching Oprah Super Soul Sunday, and Pastor A.R. Bernard was on there from New York. Mm-hmm. And he said something that we both were just like, wait, what? What did he say? Can we rewind that for a minute? But he said that purpose is not static, it's dynamic. Mm. And he was really talking about purpose in individuals. But we always can connect that to relationship. And so the reason that we wanted to bring up that topic and to discuss that with you all today is because oftentimes people ask us when they're referring to Infallible Destiny or just Breon and Naya, period, they want to know, like, how did you all get to where you are? Yeah. Or like we've arrived to some, like, destination or something. And I always explain to people that Infallible Destiny, although destiny sounds like a destination, it's not that at all. It's actually a journey.
It's a journey.
Right? And so
trust me, she ain't always felt me the way that she does right now. And there's some days when you will question whether she likes me at all. I'm not going to throw the other L word out, love, but you'll question that based on what happened.
If the feeling is mutual, you know it. So we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about this because purpose in your relationship and purpose in life is not static. It's not something you're born into for a one-time thing, like a one moment in time. And so we think that what he was trying to say, or at least the way we interpreted it, was that purpose is actually dynamic, meaning you go from glory to glory or level to level or situation to situation. And it's really about that journey and not arriving at a certain place. Because if you accomplish your goals or accomplish your purpose in a relationship or in life at 25, then what? What do you have? What's next? Right? So we really wanted to just talk through that because we're not perfect. That's the reason why we do Infallible Destiny. That's why we do what we do, because we know that there are couples who are in similar situations that we are, and it might look good or feel good from the outside looking in, but it's all not peaches and cream. And
absolutely not.
There are lessons to be learned, on a daily basis. So we just really think that's important to dive into tonight. But I think that what A.R. Bernard was trying to say is that when you're looking at life through the lens of purpose, you can't look at it as one milestone. Mm-hmm. And because it's so much more than that. And so with relationship, when we get that question, I really want to impress upon people that, no, we're not perfect and all of that, but also that there are challenges that we go through. There are highs, there are lows, but it's all a learning process and it's part of our infallible destiny journey. Meaning, we know that our journey is infallible only because we have God in the center of our relationship.
Come on now.
Right? That's the only reason why our destiny is infallible. And not our destination, but our destiny, meaning our relationship journey. And so that's the only thing that holds us tight and that keeps us tight in order to realize how dynamic our purpose in this relationship here truly is. And so I think that is key. But one thing that we threw out there before was, how do you recover from arguments? Or how do you find purpose in recovering from an argument? Yeah. More than just let it go. So our pastor said today we did a whole devotion with our family after listening to the online sermon about fixing your thoughts. And so we have this whiteboard before you leave our house where we always keep a scripture up there to kind of impress upon our children and for ourselves as well.
Reminders.
Yeah, just as a reminder. So we put the new one up there, but we also included fix our thoughts, but also... what else did I put? Oh, let it go. So we're trying to fix our thoughts and stay positive and give each other the tools, or the ultimate tool, which is the Word of God, to help us to fix our thoughts, to think kind of from that glass half full mentality, which we talk to our children about all the time. But also a part of that is being able to let things go, the things that are not of Him, not of God, but also the things that are frustrating us in our relationship.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you recover from arguments? Breon recovers much better than I do. Let's just keep it 100.
And look, different personalities.
I need to sleep on my stuff. But I think one thing that is helpful in our relationship is that we are real and raw in our communication. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. But we are very transparent.
Yeah.
And we also set boundaries. So there's a time and a place to have certain conversations when we have argued or when we're recovering from an argument or a disagreement. We know we try our hardest not to do that in front of our children. We give each other eye contact,
which I don't always get.
He doesn't always get the nonverbal cues, but it's all good. We're working on that. But it's just so important for us to model that for our children and not to try to get through an argument in the midst of family time or communication with our children. So How do you recover from an argument or find purpose in recovering from an argument? What do we do with those?
Let's first name this. And this is just a real thing that you just have to accept because you're human, right? You're going to have arguments. Do not believe this fairy tale that just because you find the right one and it's going to happen. I mean, it's just going to happen. So, we definitely argue, all right? We are regular
arguers.
Regular arguments, I can actually say that. But we've learned how to actually navigate through conversations where we're not looking to see who wins in the argument, but we're more so seeking to see how we can actually grow from that argument.
And seek
understanding. So during the time of it, let's just name it, you have to be careful. And this comes with discipline, something I just named when we're just talking about purpose, but also when you genuinely love the other individuals, you're not going to really say a lot of things that hurt. In the moment, you may have something that comes out, and that's why you have to be slow to speak, quick to listen. Okay? Slow to speak, quick to listen. And you have to be in a mindset, again, that you're not looking to win this battle. It's not a battle. You're really trying to communicate with one another on how you feel about something. Your significant other is trying to communicate with you on how they feel about something. And you may not agree. And that's why we talk about that whole triangle piece. But let's just talk about in the moment first. In the moment, it's not going to feel good. Like she stated, she likes to sleep on stuff. I like to talk about it right on the moment, right on the spot. I want to know how you feel, how we got to that space, what we could do about that space. I'm Mr. Fix It. Most men are like that. They want to fix it right on the spot, want to move on. Let's get on. God said, let's forgive. You're not forgiving me right now. Let's go. And I could just name something recently, that took place and just not give you all our business, but just talk about how that interaction went. It was one of those overnight experiences for us. Whereas I didn't handle a situation the way that she thought that I should have. And it was dealing directly with some interactions that had been going on with our children. And just the way that I responded back to certain scenarios, and her, which is you see in our background right now, pointing to Naya's, one of her principles that she allows to float in our household, which is a great principle, is that we operate in love in all things. We try to operate in love. But sometimes it just takes that slight statement that my son may make or a face that my daughter may take place. And y'all know we have 3 children, so something that my 2-year-old may say or do, and I just have had a long day at work or tough conversations to navigate, and it was one of those days. And my son got to me to a space that I know I didn't respond back in the greatest tone of love, and I just wanted to get direct, and she didn't agree with it. Okay, she just didn't agree with it. So when everybody, like nice day, when everybody got down for bed and everything, she wanted to have that conversation because I had one mindset of how to handle that scenario, and she had a whole different mindset of how to handle the scenario. It now created a ground of conflict. And so I tried to stand my ground that night of, nah, this is how it's going to be done. This is why I do what I do. And I'm sorry, it's just some things that men got to do. Yeah, I went down that lane. That wasn't the correct way to do it. And so she did what happens sometimes in our arguments and which is she shut down, which was one of those like, okay, you're not going to let me get my point across anyhow. So I tell you what, good night. And I was in that space like, hold on, wait a little bit. Trying to soften my tone, and it was too late.
And ladies, there comes a point where sometimes when your significant other, when they go just a little bit too far and you shut down, there's no coming back, right? But that doesn't mean that you're not forgiving. Some of us just need time. And so I think that's part of the recovery process. When there's an argument or what have you, you have to be able to give that person reasonable time. It doesn't have to be an extended period of time, but reasonable time for them to calm down or to process through what was actually said, or to even apologize. So I think that kind of, in that scenario, that's what helped, because I eventually was given reasonable time to just, get my thoughts together.
And as we're talking through this, you may have a scenario, typing in the comments, because, this is a Facebook party watch kind of thing going on. So type that in the comments. Maybe you've had a argument, a debate, and you've gotten to a space where you just knew you just went in the wrong direction. And but you were able to successfully recover from that. So we'd like to know about it. Help some other people. Help us, help you, that type of thing. That's what it's all about. And so I would say this, that you need to know your significant other, though. As you heard what she did, once she did shut down, what have you, because I've grown to know who she is, I didn't keep pushing the paddle. I didn't keep going forward. I did try for about 30 more seconds, maybe up to a minute. But once I knew that it was shut down, like she stated, and when she gave me the emotions that it was like, all right, well, I know how she operates. And you have to, the next thing I would say, you have to now create boundaries and outlets that are healthy. Yeah. Can I say that again? Boundaries and outlets that are healthy. Can I name just a few? That could be actually watching something that is going to assist you with growing from that moment. Not watching nonsense, but watch something that's going to assist you. Reading something, the Word of God, right? Or you can actually go back to a book that will enhance your understanding, your intellect on how you could actually handle that scenario a little bit different. Or you may have trusted individuals that you can actually go to, text, give a phone call, like, yo, man, I just got into it, and, yo, was I right?
The operative word is trusted.
Trusted.
Because you can't holler at everybody about what's going on in your relationship, especially when there are people who are going through their own stuff and who sometimes tend to put their stuff on you. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to discern who those trusted individuals are. And there are times when you have people who you trust for different things. Yeah. But you can't trust everybody with what's going on in your relationship.
Everybody doesn't deserve. Everybody doesn't get that privilege.
But when he talks about me shutting down, another thing, because actually one of the session that we're doing in the summit is going to be about, in the vein of intimacy, let's just say that. But once I shut down with that, everything is shut down.
The whole cookie bar, that we call the cookie jar is actually closed.
Everything is shut down. So when that happens, though, what's the best way for, the recovery process to work through that?
So it takes a mature individual. Let me name that. And someone else that was actually mentioned in the A.R. Bernard interview that he did with Oprah was growing to a space of maturity, whereas now you know to take responsibility. Yeah. That's the first step, I would say, a great step to notice when you're actually in a recovery stage. Reflect on what was it that really got you to that space, number one. But also, what are some things that you could have done differently? I said something to someone this week that it's not about how tenacious you are in the moment of trying to get over the hurdle, but it's about how you're going to now become consistent after that moment. Because sorry only means something for that moment, but if you continue to have that same characteristic over time, sorry is not going to mean anything. Right. It's just going to be a simple word. And so you have to develop the ability to say, really truly get to that space of saying, what did I do wrong? I heard my significant other say that that's what hurt their feelings, but did I take time to internally assess that situation and now say, you know what, I did that? And that's many times, I know Naya can name this, that is something that God has developed as a character strength in me, that I'm not a prideful individual. That's happened over time, that if I'm wrong, I'm going to admit that I'm wrong. And it may take that next morning to get to that space. And I may, whatever choice of communication that works for you and your relationship. For us, is just actually just naming it, having that phone call, being man enough for me to actually just say, you know what, I thought about it. You were totally right. I was wrong. I shouldn't handle that situation like that. I should have talked to you like that. I shouldn't talk to our kids like that. I shouldn't actually respond to their email like that. Whatever it was. And so I would name that part of the recovery process. Is actually getting to a space where you now recover. Mm-hmm. You're saying that I'm taking responsibility for my actions, because guess what? I can't control her. Right. I can't. I can't. I can't take responsibility.
I think it's interesting. There are two words that you mentioned as you were talking that were pointed out in the interview, and disclaimer, we didn't even know who A.R. Bernard was.
No clue.
Until we saw this interview. So we're not like advertising for him, but the interview was just so profound for us. And he has this book, 4 things women want to know about men or something like that. I don't know. You can look it up. But the 4 things were listed in the interview, and it was maturity, consistency, decisiveness, and strength.
Yeah.
And those are 4 things that, again, just kind of an epiphany for us as we were watching the interview, 4 things that we constantly talk about in our relationship journey.
Yeah.
Especially the decisiveness piece. And that doesn't mean like, oh, the man or whomever in the relationship is supposed to be this, dictator and say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. No. But a woman does, or at least this woman does desire to have a man that is going to be decisive when it comes to decision making in our relationship and for our family. But the consistency piece is key. All women want consistency.
And it equates to trust.
Absolutely. And so one of the things, if you see Breon on the screen, like looking like he's about to go off, so there's clearly a reason why we were supposed to do this video and pre-record it. We needed to get it out and make sure that you all got this information. For some reason, we've had so many technical issues.
Yeah.
Our kids are right now off screen right here trying to get our attention, I believe. But we're going to stay focused. So this is real life. We tell y'all that all the time. But anyway, so those 4 things are very important in a relationship and in your infallible destiny journey. Remember that being consistent, being a woman or a man of your word is important. That it is key. Because that, without consistency, without follow through, you do lose trust.
Yes.
When you have someone who's kind of just swaying back and forth with decisions and can't make a decision, the lack of decisiveness, that's an issue. So if there are things like that seem to be underlying issues in your relationship, whether you're dating or engaged or married, those are things that you need to make sure that you have a conversation about, because a lot of times they might just be surface or underlying things that feed the bigger things or the bigger issues that you might be experiencing in your relationship.
So, look, a few different tools of recovering, as she just stated. I think there was 4 great points. Just naming, going into an argument. Again, they're going to happen. It's one of those spaces. I tell people all the time, especially when we're doing premarital counseling or coaching other individuals, whether they're single or going into a relationship or growing deeper into their relationship, is something that is just the thing that's going to happen. And so you got to prepare, teaching people on how to actually argue, because it's going to happen. And so that's something that we hope that you gain from. And again, that'll be out there. This is a watch party, so maybe you have some ways, some things that have worked for your relationship that you want to throw out there that we can have a conversation about. But that's clearly what we wanted to actually articulate today. Just going through and tackling and talking about purpose, and then also transitioning into that whole, how do you recover when you actually have the argument? And this was named not just something that we got from watching that Super Soul, but also just constantly we get questions surrounding around actually talking about, hey, how do y'all bounce back? I know y'all get on each other's nerves. Y'all say that all the time. You know what I mean? How do you actually get to that new space? Which, thank God we've developed a great system to actually get back to a space where we are back, where we actually like each other. We always love each other. But there are some times where she just named it crazy, just straight up. I love you, but I don't like you right now.
And there might be some people out here who are thinking like, okay, we hear y'all and that sounds like little elementary stuff, but what I'm dealing with is major. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of times, again, when we talk about purpose not being static, yet being dynamic, you have to also remember or realize that a lot of times purpose is born through crisis.
Yeah.
And so there could be something major, like that you just think you cannot overcome, or you are struggling to get out of bed and to start your day because your spouse or your significant other has hurt you so much, or because you are so pained by the hurt that you've caused. But again, I think it goes back to what is for you and your relationship It has to stay in your household unless you're talking to those trusted individuals. But those are things that you have the ability and the power and the strength to work through as long as you have God at the center. And it doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how nasty it is, how ugly it is, how earth-shattering it feels to you. But if you have God in the center, then there's nothing that you as a couple or as an individual cannot overcome. But without him, you're up a creek. I really don't know.
Real talk. I mean, that's just what it is. So, look, baby, I think we are able to transition at this moment. Yeah. Well, we thank you for actually tuning in to this month, January 2019 broadcast. Look, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something from it. Again, a few reminders. Date night is coming January 26th. At Uptown Alley. We want you to be a part of that from 7 to 9-ish. We'll have a good time. Again, 3 different tiers for you to enjoy that experience. And then the annual Relationship Summit is coming in March 22nd to the 23rd. We're so excited about that.
Yeah. Can I just say, for the Relationship Summit, don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Of course we think it's dope, okay? Go online to infallibledestiny.com. Go to the gallery. You can see pictures from previous years. If you know somebody who's been, ask them. If you've been, post something about it for us, because we are absolutely going to hype it up, because we grow every time we experience a summit that we coordinate and put together. We grow and we thrive as a couple and individually by being able to pour into other people and to help kind of create these experiences for you. But there's nothing like hearing it from another source, or for nothing like seeing it yourself. So go online, look it up. The speakers this year, I can't wait to share with you guys
we haven't released
more
that
of the details. But you can see the draft agenda up there on the website. There's so many things, but I just wanted to say, yes, absolutely, we're gonna hype it up. You should be there. We are just blown away by the experiences. Yes, back in Richmond this year. So just reach out to somebody or go online so you can get more information about the summit, because it's definitely something you don't want to miss, whether you have a boo or not.
That's it. All right, so infallibledestiny.com is where you can get all this information that we've been discussing. If you would like for us to actually talk at your event, be a guest there, you can go and actually say, hey, book the Hamlets. That's on the link as well. There's a link there on our website. And all the way from being invited to your event to now saying I want premarital counseling, or I want relationship counseling, or coaching, all that's available to you on the website. Love y'all. See you next month. Until then, hopefully we'll be bumping to you, but not, you can get with us whenever you want.
Regardless of your relationship status, your destiny is infallible. And remember, that's your journey. It's not a destination.